You're listening to Growing Hope Conversations, the podcast from Growing Hope, a charity offering free therapy for children and young people with additional needs and support for their families. Join our host Bambi French as she welcomes guests who've been there, sharing real stories, honest struggles, and how churches can truly make a difference.
Claire, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm feeling revved and ready. I'm really excited. Thank you for inviting me on.
You are so welcome. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for giving up your time to come and talk to us today. I'm pretty sure that somebody somewhere will be blessed by the words that you speak today. Maybe more than one person. Hopefully more than one person. But we will, we will have a really good conversation, and yeah, I'm pretty sure that it will be a blessing to many. Before we get started, do you want to just tell us a little bit about you, your family, who you are, what you do?
Yeah. So I am a mum of two girls. They are 21 and 19 now. And they are both doing different studies. One's studying English literature, the other one's doing dance. And I'm married to a guy called Tim. We've been married for, I think, 22 years now. We met when we were 15. We got together when we were 19. I came to faith in my 20s, but we stuck together, got married when I was 27, and then had a really kind of tricky time growing in faith, but being married to a non-Christian. So a big part of our journey has been to pray as a family, me and my children, for my husband. We prayed for 10 years, and then in 2021, he came to faith. So we know that God is a good God and does answer prayer. And if this resonates with anyone, I would encourage you to keep praying. Don't give up. The Lord knows your story. We're written about in Peter. So that's been a real blessing and quite a change. But what I do, I used to be an occupational therapist. So I've had a previous career as an OT and a life coach. I worked in acquired head injury. So have quite a good understanding of cognition and executive function, the kind of logical thinking brain and processing information. I worked for about 16, 17 years. And then as my children were aging and big everyday emotions were coming into our home, I started looking at writing in the evenings when my husband was working quite hard, and just put some stories together, which helped me converse with my children about their big emotions they were experiencing. And I very quickly came to realize that the influence I had over them had a significant impact on how they processed what they were feeling. So started being very intentional about how I engaged in conversation with them, which the stories helped. So now what I end up doing is doing author visits and workshops with children with my big emotion books and my Christian books. And I've got a parenting handbook. So I do parenting talks as well. So I kind of am a mixture of being a parent educator and a children's author.
Wow. So a lot of things. You're busy.
It's been a bit of a meandering journey, but it's exciting. When you look back, you can kind of see things linking up. When you're in the moment, and I'm sure people can relate to this too, you feel a bit muddled and is this going in a certain way? But I do trust God. He has this, and this is his work. So I'm just faithfully serving him and seeing how we can come alongside people and help them.
Yeah. So many of the people listening will have an experience with additional needs, either have children with additional needs, young children, or older children, teenagers. It seems as though there's a lot of information and a lot of support around the younger age groups, maybe pre-teens, lots of things for younger children. I'm thinking about the work that you do around emotions and helping children and young people understand their emotions.
Yeah.
Can you take us through some of that work and what it is you do and how that supports the younger children, but also older as well?
Yeah. So for me, I guess through my own personal experience, I I've kind of got my foundation of the framework that I use, starting with the adult. Um, I feel quite strongly that there's a lot of focus on the children, and sometimes they can be seen as isolated cases, or we've got to work on the young person or the little one. But actually, a lot to do with that young person with a developing brain, a developing kind of emotions and everything, is about how we can come alongside them as the adult with a mature brain. And for me, the support starts with the adult to then help the child. And so a lot of my work is getting people to take a step back and kind of work with, well, what are my assumptions and expectations of my child? What were my hopes of having a child? Have I adjusted and accepted my family setup and what this looks like? And am I aware of my own emotions, my own frustrations, my own difficulties, my own impatience, my exhaustion in trying to parent my child? Um, and so I kind of look at that as the soil. So the framework that I use is called the Daesy Dialogue, and it's spelt with an A and an E. So Daisy has been Daesy. And the point is that I've got the idea of, you can imagine in your head a daisy with a stem going into the soil. And if the soil is not nourished and it's not kind of set up in a way that helps the flower bloom, then the flower struggles a bit to either germinate or kind of reach its full potential. And that's what I'm trying to encourage us as parents to do, is not to expose us and say, well, this is missing and you need to do this better. It's, have we kind of churned the soil over enough to look at what we need to place in it to help the child? Um, and what I try and do is take all the jargon out and just put it really simply, so that we can use words that begin with A and E, to help guide us as we navigate parenting our children. So the idea really with the Daisy dialogue is, go to A&E, like you'd go to a hospital, A&E, to A&E for immediate care and help. Physically, I'm saying emotionally, what can we be doing for our child who has got additional needs, who might be neurodiverse, or you're discovering that there are ways in which their brain is wired and they're communicating. What can I do to kind of get myself as prepped as I can to then go on and help them? So that's kind of where I start. I don't go straight to the kiddie.
Yeah.
And those A&E words that I have in the soil are assumptions and expectations and aware of emotions. So we're kind of, because the thing is, what we get swept up with is when we parent, we have been parented ourselves in whatever that family unit looks like. So we're coming in with a narrative that perhaps we haven't checked, or we may not have had a discussion if we are with someone about how we want to parent as a team, or what do you think you might do when there's a problem or discipline, or if you're tired, we come in working late. Sometimes we don't have those conversations. So we then try and do things when we haven't nourished and looked at what we need to do to get ourselves in the best place before we then go and help our kid. And I think the other interesting thing is, because our children have immature brains, they are growing and maturing because that's the natural process of aging. We might assume or expect them to be able to do more than they're capable of at that age and stage of development. And kind of coming in with, I might need to address and explain more than I thought I did. Um, I I think what I found the most useful thing is to encourage parents to be a bit more literal, a bit more non-nuanced, try and remove sarcasm. It's very tricky for children with additional needs to understand those very subtle differences. So just even talking that through sometimes can make someone stop and think, oh, okay, I need to say that differently, or perhaps I need to prepare them in a different way. So yeah, that's kind of how I tend to start with the grown up, with the parent, the carer, the teacher, and then how we can come alongside the kid. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the natural kind of thing that we do. I'm just thinking about, like, even, you know, my experience of being a teacher or a parent, your natural go-to is to fix the issue in front of you. You
Yeah,
know, the problem that is going on, or the difficulty that you're facing, which for listeners of this show in particular would be around, you know, maybe the behavior of their children or the way in which, you know, they're presenting, when actually with what you're saying with your framework is around, you know, that, yes, put your own oxygen mask on, fill your cup up, look at what's going on with you first, so
yeah,
that you can be better equipped to support.
exactly. And that does have quite a mixed reaction. So I'm going to own it. I have had parents say, "Well, listen, we're exhausted. We're at the end of our tether. I can't be thinking about that and trying to keep my child safe."
Mhm.
So I want to acknowledge that I know that that is real life. Um, but I guess what I'm trying to say is not every moment is fixable,
Yeah.
but every moment can be a teachable, trainable moment. It can be a learning opportunity. And because we sometimes want the upset to stop, or the noise to stop, or the disruption to stop, we can be quick to punish or control in a way that gives us a sense of, I've got this for you. Uh, Whereas if we take a kind of a step back, hang on, what am I expecting? Have
Mhm.
I prepped them enough? Have I instructed them enough? Am I following through enough? Have I got clear boundaries? Have I been available enough?
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting one, just in helping people look at the simplicity of what I'm asking, rather than the panic of, she's asking me too much.
Mhm.
Once we have a different lens on it, we can see, well, that was a trigger. Perhaps I tried to get out of the house too quickly.
Mhm.
I hadn't set it up in a way that had prepared them, and I hadn't kept to the times that I said I was going to keep to.
Mhm.
So there wasn't enough addressing and explaining, or maybe I didn't acknowledge how they were feeling. If I had said, I can see that this is making you upset, often that can be quite a calmer for the brain. Uh, we know as an adult, for example, if my husband tells me to calm down when I'm feeling a bit angry, let me tell you that I am no calm person and I am totally unable to relax. And
Yeah.
that is because my emotional brain
Mhm.
is lit up like a Christmas tree. So I'm not
Mhm.
going to have any logical thinking or reasoning.
Yeah.
But I do have that capacity because I have a mature brain. The brain fully develops kind of
Mhm.
around the age of 25. So when you've got a little one, let's say 5, 6, 8, 9, and their thinking, reasoning, logical brain is not kicking in, they need us to come alongside them to reassure them. So we're never in a moment where there's heightened emotions going to be able to resolve it or teach them. But what we can do is, if we can allow for the emotion and acknowledge and explore with them what's upsetting them, more often than not, the kind of calm down and the place that you want to get to happens quicker than just shouting at someone and them being overstimulated, and
Mhm.
then unwanted behavior really ramps up, and you've got very little cooperation, and you're kind of in this cycle of heightened emotions, an adult and a child, one that has potential to calm themselves down and one that doesn't. So that's when we need to kind of look at the soil and say, right, a calm parent is better than a heightened one.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just the guidelines, or the framework helps us think in a moment to reset ourselves, and like, what one word can I use now? What one A&E word
Mhm.
can I put in? Do I need to apologize? Do I need to empathize? Do I need to apply with an example? Often modeling is a really good way of showing them repair and restoration. So yeah, it feels like there's a lot going on, but actually once you start seeing the road ahead, which they
Yeah.
can't,
Yeah.
then we can put some strategies in place.
It gives you that space and the tools and the support to really come to terms with things in your own way, individually, and the resilience, the tools to carry on.
That's how one parent described when dreams change. Could you help others feel the same? Join Growing Hope as a course facilitator and support parents of children with additional needs. You don't need to be an expert, just someone who cares.
It doesn't take loads of time, but it's a brilliant resource that really changes lives.
Yeah. With any kind of, you've got the Daesy Dialogue framework. With any kind of framework or anything that you're using, it takes time to learn it. It takes time to understand it, doesn't it? It takes time then to implement and maybe get some parts of it not quite right. And then go back to the start again, I guess. How do you support parents who are going through the framework to kind of help them understand maybe how long this will take them to become confident with it?
Yeah.
But then also not. I just get a sense that maybe there's some parents who might feel like they're they feel guilty for getting it wrong. Or maybe not doing it in the right way. So then that further compounds the way that they're feeling. How do you walk parents through this, the whole framework, and help them get to a place where they feel like, okay, we can do this now?
We can do this. Well,
Yeah.
I guess that I am no expert. I'm a parent that has, through trials and tribulations and practice, given it my best shot. But oh my goodness, I have been a very messy parent. And I'm not professing that this is something that you perfect, nor is it something that will always give you the results you want. What I'm advocating for is that connection is key, and relationships are always ebbing and flowing. There is no right end to it. And so rather than feeling isolated and alone, I have read a lot of literature and psychology, and come to the same conclusion that relationships matter, and it's about the connection and the way that we communicate. So it's a job that we are constantly learning in and evolving. And I would say the end point is to raise your own awareness so that you can read the road a bit better, rather than just getting in the car and turning the engine on and thinking, well, I've got no idea what's ahead. Actually, as you start to learn about your child and you're observing things in a way that, okay, that really overstimulated them, or that triggered them, or I can't rush them in that way, you will start to add things into your basket that you start to notice work. So if, for example, a kid kicks off and they have a flip of their lid, and you've got a very heightened reaction to something that you think is quite small, you can kind of look at, okay, what is my assumption and expectation right now? Well, I want them to go out and brush their teeth. But actually, if we look at, okay, it's been really hot, they've had a long school day, I've put them in an after school club, I've then had to finish work while they've come home, so I haven't been able to do one-to-one. So I know that when I come to interact with them, actually, I've got to have no distractions. It's got to be 10 minutes of maybe side by side with them, and they understand that I'm available for them just for those 10 minutes. And giving them those 10 minutes might change the whole way in which you go forward for the evening, meal times, getting them up to bed, cooperation wise. So I want to reassure people that this is not anything that we're aiming for perfection. This is, how do I muddle through and feel supported, where one time might be really difficult, but what can I observe and what can I work out from that? And then within the Daesy Dialogue framework, is there any one word that I probably need to invest in more for the next time? And then I can trial it and see if it works. I guess with the strategies, for me, it's the preparation and instruction and follow through. Often we miss the literalness of what we need to say, and that can set children off. Because, for example, if I'm getting ready to go, I might put my coat on. There's a queue there, isn't there? I'm getting my coat on, or I'm picking up my keys. So I know the jangle of my keys means we're off, we're ready. I've told them 10 minutes ago, we're going in 10 minutes. Now, they may not be able to measure 10 minutes. I'm running around for those 10 minutes, doing all the last minute jobs, getting everything done in the house, and it falls on my shoulders. So by the time 10 minutes comes, I want my kids to be ready.
Mm.
But some children need more prompts than that, maybe some visual prompts or a reminder or something fun like a bell or a rattle saying 5 minutes, or I'm now putting my coat on, which means that we need to get ready to go. Could you find your coats and put them on too, so that we can walk out of the door? Some people say, Claire, I can't stand the number of words you use. And I hear you. I also get that. But if we're clear,
Yeah.
then it really helps the child understand what you're expecting them to do. And so I just say again, just review your language. Just have a look at what you're including. Are you giving them context to set them up to then follow it through successfully? Because what we don't want is a child constantly doing something. We react negatively and they feel bad about themselves.
Yeah.
What I would love is a child does something, I take a moment, sort the soil out, and then respond with what I need to, so that the child feels good about themselves, but they understand where they've been led.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. How is your work influenced by your faith? So this this framework and the work that you do with parents.
yeah.
Tell us about how faith is sort of the integral part in all of that.
What a wonderful question. So I think because I came to faith in my 20s and saw the love that Jesus has for us and the cost on the cross at which he gave us kind of forgiveness and the gift of forever life. Seeing his passion and compassion for the broken and the lost has really pushed me into connection is key. And I love the way that Jesus cares for people who are stuck in their own sin, how he shines a light on it, but how he offers repair. And I guess with the Daesy Dialogue, a lot of it has been based on the road to Emmaus. If you read that passage, just how he comes alongside these two men and they're kind of talking to him, and Jesus is really patient. He doesn't belittle them. He doesn't say, "Don't you know?" But he asks a few questions and he gets them involved and he addresses and explains and he acknowledges their sadness and he explores with them and he applies by an example of coming to eat with them and being together with them. And just everything about that speaks volumes in what we respond to really well. Again, whether we're neurodiverse or neurotypical, but there is a real kind of foundation there. And I've taken such joy in trying to extrapolate that and put it into everyday language that is very kingdom based, but reads in a way that both the secular and the Christian world can come together. And the joy about doing parent talks to both audiences is that everybody understands how this impacts relationships and the positive impact it has. Again, we're not always going to get it right. We won't always be able to get the outcome, but the faith aspect of it is that Jesus shows us, he models to us, he shows us through the Trinity how to relate. And that's really the heart of the book. Just to give a visual about the connection, like we're connected with Jesus, the soil and the flower. There's just so many references, aren't there, about kind of the vine branches linking in the shepherd, his duty and joy of caring for his sheep. And I think that inspiration came to me in a dream, because when I was parenting our children, the two key words that I always used when they were having a difficult time was I had on our fridge the passages in Galatians 5, 19 through to 24, about how the flesh might react and how the spirit responds. And just saying, listen, let's acknowledge what's going on, my first A, and let's encourage each other. So that may be through apologizing and praying together. And just seeing that very simple A&E, I used to say it to my kids, A&E. And then as that kind of matured, really, I had a dream, and the Lord was just really clear. Use A&E, just use it. All of the words that you use in your parenting dialogue, put it into a framework. And so I literally woke up and scribbled away. I also at the same time had an author workshop with a group of 20 children in the SEN department, and I was greeted by a teacher who said, good luck with this lot. And I was really affronted. I thought, you're the safe professional that's with these children, and you're indicating to me as a visitor, this is tough. And whilst actually, let's not deny it, there are loads of needs there. I've been invited in to give the children an experience of relating to them where they're at. And those 20 children, with working with them in a literal addressing and explaining way, they attended and engaged with me for 30 minutes. And they were like, what framework do you use? Oh my gosh, what have you just done?
Yeah.
And so when she used that word framework, I was like, right, that's what the dream was, Lord. I'm going to honor that, and I'm going to put that into a book, I hope, if you allow me to do it. So that's kind of how it's been born. And that's the heart for it.
Awesome. What's the book called?
It's called the Daesy Dialogue. I've got one here actually.
Daesy Dialogue. Dialogue,
So
yeah.
it's backwards, but it's got the letters A and E in it. And I'll show you the model just so that you can kind of, for anyone visually watching this, they can see what it is. But there's the soil down there at the bottom of the page, and then you've got the connection, and then Daisy, and all in the petals and in the soil are words beginning with A and E, because what we want to do is reset, connect, and bloom.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely be linking to that so people can get hold of your book. You've also written a children's book, or you're writing a children's book?
So I've got 11 children's books which are to do with big emotions and core values. And on the website, there's some free kind of PDFs to download that are family and faith packs to tell you what God has to say, and also some secular kind of craft activity packs. And then there's some Christian books that look at how we connect with God. So who God is and the joy of knowing Jesus. So I don't actually sell on Amazon or anything. It's all on my own website, but that's kind of how people can get hold of them. But the idea is, again, connection is key. Connection and meaningful conversation. A lot of parents are afraid to work out how to start to have those conversations. So there's questions at the back of the book. They're all animals, so we don't look at a person or a skin color and think, well, that's not me. What I want them to hear is the kind of main issue. Is it separation anxiety? Is it fear of new experiences? Is it being bullied? Is it being teased? Or someone that's a bully? Is it bereavement, kindness, perseverance? And then by the time you get to the end of the story, those questions allow you as the parent to perhaps say, well, do you know what? I have felt worried one time and this is what I did. So you can apply with examples, or you can use it to just acknowledge and explore their emotion. But to try and get a parent to talk about things rather than lead until the crisis point. These are just everyday stories that normalize and validate big emotions.
Awesome. So many different resources that people can get hold of, and like I say, we will make sure that we link to them all, and maybe try and get to one of your parent talks. Is that something that people can access as well? How would they get to hear more?
The way that I normally do them is through podcasts, kind of just giving a very general bit of info about them. Or some people do through their schools, book me up. You can approach your school and ask to have a look at my website and see if I can come along and do a parent talk. Or just drop me a line in my inbox and I'll see if I can answer your inquiry.
Yeah, awesome. I knew that we wouldn't have enough time to talk about talk about. I just knew it. So unfortunately, we have to wrap up. But I'm pretty sure that you will be back on the Growing Hope podcast very soon. But just to kind of bring us to the close of this episode, you have spoken a lot about connection being key throughout the whole conversation that we've just had. Connection is key, and there will be parents, families listening who feel quite disconnected because of systems, because of, trying to get what they need for their children and not being able to kind of get hold of whatever those things are, whether they be reports or, anything.
Yeah.
And the isolation that can come with raising children with additional needs is a very real thing,
Yes.
we see that, through the charity, and the Growing Hope supports a lot of families who experience that. What would your kind of final words of advice be around encouraging people to connect with faith, to connect with the one who made them, to connect with other services, and to not lose hope? It might seem that nobody's helping, but actually there is help available, there's support available.
So what we know from the Bible is that you were known about before you were formed, let alone your own child. And so God knows your story, and you are the intended parent for that child. That is no mistake, and the Lord equips us, even in our brokenness, to do that. Psalm 34 talks about that. And the way that I can encourage people is to acknowledge that we are meant to be in relationship with each other, that we may feel isolated, and often that is because we are exhausted. There is no time to do anything else. So my first port of call is to connect more with God. I just talk to him in prayer. He knows about you, and he will always be with you. It says it in Matthew. The next thing to do is, whilst that may not be possible, sometimes we can't even find the words to pray, is to reach out to support groups, or find someone, if you're not part of a church, in a church, that can perhaps offer you the opportunity to text them saying, can you pray for me? You don't have to explain anything, but it's almost like a prayer buddy, where you just know that there's someone that I don't have to explain anything, but I can just text, I need some prayer. I have done that when I was extremely lonely and feeling very isolated, not coping myself when my kids were younger. And whilst people may think, well, Claire, you don't have a child with additional needs, I don't. But I do understand the loneliness when things aren't going the way you had hoped and you're trying to cope with adjusting. And do not underestimate the importance of reaching out to your charity or finding local support groups where other parents are experiencing what you're experiencing. I would say try and stay away from the kind of social media platforms to find people. You need real people who are within your timeline and will respond to you in an empathetic way. So I would say you're known about, attempt if you can to converse with God in prayer, and be intentional with reaching out, even if you feel you don't want to. Just one connection can make all the difference.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Claire. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Bambi.
Such a blessing. It was just great to have you. And there's so much in there. Like I said, we will link to every resource that you have given us, you've shared with us today, the books, parent talk, all of those sorts of things. And yeah, hopefully people will start to connect with you as well, and be able to use that framework as a way of moving forward. So thanks for being part of the show today. Yeah, bless you. Take care.